Today, we take a closer look at comparing two similar guitars, the new Fender Ultra and the Suhr Classic T. Stay tuned. Hi folks, so you saw in the last video that I put out regarding the new Fender Telecaster, the new Ultra series that I purchased, and I went through some of the specs of that, what I liked about it, what I think Fender did correct as far as trying to compete with the higher end market, which is guitars like this, which is the Suhr. And I mean, there's other manufacturers out there that are making similar Telecaster type instruments that have some more modern features to it. And so the goal, I guess, or the purpose of this video is to kind of look at the features of this guitar and then compare it to the features of the new Fender Telecaster Ultra by Fender to see whether or not they are on equal grounds competing wise as far as features, modern touches and so forth, because there is quite a big difference in the price of this particular guitar as opposed to what you're paying for the for the new Ultra Fender Telecaster in Canada. Anyway, I can't speak to what other countries or people are paying in other countries or other regions, but I can tell you specifically here in Canada, this guitar here, brand new, sells for about $3,800, anywhere from $3,800 to $4,200 plus tax. So, you know, up there in price. And the new Fender Ultra series, this one in particular, sells for about $2,450 plus tax in Canada. So, you know, you're looking at almost $1,500 premium that you're paying on this Suhr guitar. So let's have a quick look at some of the specs that this guitar, the new Fender Ultra, has introduced. Things like having the neck joint here carved in and really focused on a lot of comfort on the neck here, down playing in this region. They've sculpted their bodies really nicely, more modern feel, very much in the realm of some of the more modern guitars out there. So that's how Fender, and Fender's, if I'm going to compare it to the Suhr, I prefer the Fender cut actually, because it's actually a little bit more aggressive, and I guess the width here is a little bit less than what you get on the Suhr guitar. So the Suhr guitar, when I purchased this one of the main features that I really liked was that cut. And it's a little hard to see on this color in this light, but you can see there is a little bit of a cut there. So where it cuts in, and it gives you more of that comfort. But the Fender one goes a step further a little bit if you like a deeper, like more of a deeper cut. This is still comfortable to play, but when I hold this one and then I hold this one, I can tell that the Fender one is probably a little bit, you know, more cut in to give you even greater comfort in that area. Let's talk about the pickups. The pickups on the Suhr guitars are, you know, Suhr pickups, and they make great sounding pickups. I can tell you that much. You won't be disappointed with their pickups. Even a lot of people have purchased their pickups specifically and put them in their own guitars. As far as if you have a Les Paul or a Telecaster or Fenders or whatever, they've installed Suhr pickups because they're very, very good. There's no type of switching as far as things go with these electronics. There's your typical 3-way switch here for your Telecaster, which, you know, your bridge, both pickups, then your neck pickup. So no problems there. I mean, I don't have an issue with that. The new Fenders have put the new generation of noiseless pickups in their instruments, Telecaster wise. And they also introduced this switching, this S1 switch, where you press down on where the volume knob is, and that gives you, you know, some extra, options as far as tones goes. So more of a mid boost when you're in the bridge or the neck position. If you're in the center position and you're using both pickups, obviously when you hit that, you're going to combine they're already combined, but they give you more of a humbucker, more of a fatter feel to it. So really nice feature. So on pickups, when we compare both of these, the Fender is right on par, if not better, because you get a few more options as far as the switching is concerned. So there's another, I guess, plus. And these are all my opinion, folks. You might pick up this guitar and you might pick up this one and say, this one is way better no matter what they do on this one. This is just my opinion, comparing both spec to spec and feel and playability and sound. So I would say that as far as the pickup goes, there's no problem. I think Fender is on par or even better than what I'm getting with the Suhr because of the added options. The other parts of the body, I mean, we can talk a little bit about how there's a nice aggressive curve here. There is the binding. That's a nice feature on the Fender instrument. Again, you're paying a premium for the Suhr, where here you're still paying a premium for a top level Fender guitar. You'd have to go to the custom shop level if you want to get higher than this series. But comparably, as far as pricing, you're getting way more on this than you would be on the Suhr of the same, of these two anyway, because of the binding, more aggressive cut. The finish on the body is great. There's no problem at all there. So if we look at the Suhr guitar, it doesn't have those cuts. It's more of a classic Telecaster. So there's no type of belly cut there. The only thing you do kind of have a cut is in this general area to try to give you more playability down at the neck, like we spoke about a little earlier. The bridge, or I guess the saddles, are a little different. These are more classic. They give you that kind of that ashtray type of bridge or saddle setup here that we have. These are brass, so this is just a preference thing. I don't mind this, like the ashtray type of feel where there's this kind of, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a lip there where it's aluminum or steel or whatever, whatever this is. But I prefer the Fender setup there because, let me show you. We are using brass saddles, just a different style. So every string has its own saddle. So it's easier to adjust intonation, I find, on this style than on the Suhr style that we just looked at. The other thing is that it's not that ashtray type of feel. So if you do have your hand here, which I do a lot, like my playing style is like this, where my palm always rests down in this area, which is another reason I can't really play like Strats that have the volume knob really close to that bridge pickup because of where my hand sits. But the other thing, I do manage fine with this type of, when we're talking about that ashtray type of saddle and bridge setup down here, but I do find that my hand does hit that corner a lot, which can, after a while it gets a little bit of annoyance. So not having that on the Fender, where it's nice and smooth, you're not hitting anything, everything's kind of out of the way, I would give that a plus. And again, my opinion, to the Fender with their setup there. We can talk a little bit about the tuners. The tuners are, again, Fender locking tuners or Fender branded. Awesome, very high quality. No issues. I've used their locking tuners on another guitar as well a few years ago, and I basically upgraded an old Telecaster with these tuners because I prefer having those locking tuners, and they are great, flawless, very stable, easy to change your strings. Tunability is spot on this guitar. Like I mentioned in my last video, I tuned this guitar maybe twice since buying it, and I've been playing it for 2 days straight, and there's no issue. Very, very stable as far as the tuning stability. I even mentioned that when I picked up this guitar, the guy brought it right from the shipment in the back in the box and everything, and took it right out of the box in front of me and gave it to me to go try out, because they hadn't even put it on the floor yet for a display. And it was in tune. It was like, wow, this thing is set up perfect right out of the box. So a plus there. Now, not to say, and I think that the tuners that come on the Suhr guitars, they are Goto tuners, I believe, and they do have the Suhr logo on them, and they are locking as well. So when it comes to that feature, either one, I think that's a tie as far as that goes, because the Suhr tuners are top quality, never had an issue with them. They're stable. This guitar, as far as tuning stability compared to this one, I'd say a tie as well. They never have issues with the tuning of this guitar as well. So tuners, I would say a tie. What else let's talk about the neck. Now, here's a sticking point with what I've read online a little bit with the new Fender Ultras. People, there's always somebody that's going to complain about something, no matter what a company does and how much they put into what they're doing. One of the complaints was, the Ultra does not have stainless steel frets. Okay, well, Suhr, they do have stainless steel, and they are great. They're smooth. They're probably never going to have to refret this instrument. I won't anyway. I won't have to refret this one even if I played it the way that I play my guitars. And I'm not, I have a few guitars and I rotate all the time. And, if I was a touring musician that played every night and all I did was use the same guitar, maybe in 15, 20 years, I'd need a refret. So that's not a concern to me. So people out there that are complaining about, the new Ultra doesn't have stainless steel frets, whatever. But this does have stainless steel. So if we're going to compare apples to apples here, and we find that to be a higher value item, then the Suhr would have one leg up on the new Fenders because of that. To me, it isn't a game changer at all. I think the Fender frets feel like stainless steel as far as the smoothness and the finish. They are pretty much identical as far as they are medium jumbos, and the height and the feel of them are very similar. Again, this is nickel, this is stainless steel. So if that's really important to you, then you might give the nod to the Suhr. But it is what it is. The nut on the Fender here, it is a bone nut, and it is high-end quality, cut perfectly as far as the setup goes. I believe the Suhr is bone as well. I'm not 100% sure on that, but again, I think it's a tie. Suhr, as far as their quality, when they come down to little specifics, like, we're going to talk about the necks in a second here, but little things like cutting the slots in the nuts and getting everything, perfect, they do that top quality. What Fender has done with their Ultra series, again, they've matched that with what these guys are doing. So, again, tie. Let's talk about the neck profiles. This is more of I guess, closer to what a classic Telecaster neck profile would be. So if you look at that, it's not super thick, but it's also not super thin. It's kind of in the middle. It's what I like in a neck. And to be honest with you, if I had one thing that I would change on the new Fender Ultra Tele, is I would give it a little bit of a beefier neck. I would probably use this neck profile on that guitar, and it would be the perfect Telecaster for me, for what I like in a Telecaster and all the modern features. That would be the only thing. So this neck is nice and smooth. The corners are rounded. The fret edges are all done perfectly. So this is an immaculate, they sure goes above and beyond when they do that finish of their necks, and the play, when you're playing them, they feel very comfortable, super stable and everything else. This obviously is a maple neck and fretboard. This is a maple and rosewood fretboard. So a little different there. So I guess you can't directly compare both because they have a different fingerboard, but nonetheless. So let's look at the Fender neck. When we look at the Fender neck, it's it's thinner. It's definitely thinner than your standard Telecaster kind of classic neck. So when I compare both of these necks, they are, I can tell, you know, there's not a huge difference, but it's definitely a little bit more beef to the back of the Suhr, again, which I prefer. But you know, I am really bonding with this one. I've been playing it for a couple of days now, and it's not an issue. It's very comfortable. It's just, it's a little bit thinner. So you play it, and for me, I can go from one guitar to the other, and it doesn't really affect me that much. So it's not really a big issue. But if I had to give this guitar a gripe of any kind, and I would say, Fender, if you take this guitar and you put this neck on it, as far as the neck profile, it's a winner for me all day long. There's nothing else I would change on this guitar. The fingerboard edges, the fretwork is on par with what Suhr and other boutique builders are doing. So I would say when we're looking at both of these, if you're going to give anything a nod up and you're really concerned with stainless steel frets, you got to give it to Suhr. But I have no problem with this Fender neck. It is awesome as far as the feel, the build quality, the attention to detail. No gripes there. But if we're comparing both and we're saying, well, you're getting a little bit more value when you get the stainless steel frets, it is what it is. Is it worth $1,500 to $1,800 more because it has stainless steel frets and this doesn't? I'm going to let you guys decide that, but I know what my answer is. So yeah, so that's kind of the bulk of what these two guitars are when we're comparing both, you know, boutique styles guitars with, you know, the new Fender Ultra series, which is kind of more of a modern take on their classic instruments, trying to make it, you know, bring you more high end and playability features that a lot of people have been kind of asking for. Where the boutique market came in is they've addressed some of these issues that the bigger companies weren't. And now these bigger companies like Fenders and Gibsons and stuff are starting to implement some of these things that people want. And which is good. And it makes everything in the industry a lot better, because if Fender ups their game with doing more of that type of modern stuff, well, other manufacturers will start doing the same. And maybe the prices of some of these guitars, which are awesome guitars, don't get me wrong, will start to come down a little bit to kind of compete with the big guys as far as manufacturers go. So it's a win-win for consumers, I believe. You know, you might not care if it's a Fender or a Suhr or whatever. You just want the best playing guitar at a comparable price when all the features are lined up together. Everything is pretty much comparable. You want something that's going to be fair in price. And not saying that this isn't fair in price. I'm saying that what these options have given us for the price range that it has, it makes it a hard sell for somebody to walk into a store and say, look at both of these guitars and say, this one is worth $1,800 more than this one. And I know that Suhr, you know, is hand built. There's a lot of stuff that goes into these that maybe not as much. I don't know. I can't tell you, but as far as not as much detail that goes into these, like as hand built, there may be more machines building these. I don't know. But when I put one in my hand and I put the other one in my hand and I play both of them, you know, I don't think there's an $1,800 difference between the two. So anyway, thanks for watching the video. What we'll probably end up doing in the next video is, again, I spoke about this a little earlier in my initial review of the Fender Telecaster here, that, you know, playing and listening to sounds over the internet, there is a little bit of value there, but not that much. So I might do a little video just going through each pickup and, you know, comparing the Suhr so that at least you see that there is, if there is a difference, what it is. But I always suggest people just go to the store, plug it in, try it out, and listen to it there live in person instead of on the internet, because you might be listening to your iPad or your iPhone. You can't tell. There's no way you can tell. The only thing you would be able to tell if I was A/B-ing this one to this one is the difference, if there is a difference at all. But as far as tonal quality and what it really sounds like in the room, I don't think YouTube is the way to do that. But anyway, regardless, I'll probably put a video together this week that kind of does that A/B part if you're interested in that. and we'll go from there. But I think Fender did an awesome job on their new Ultras, and specifically the Telecasters, which is what I'm interested in. So happy about that. And if anything, it's just going to push the industry forward. It's going to make all builders and guitar manufacturers up their game, and hopefully make, you know, great instruments at fair prices for us, the consumers, right? So anyway, if you like the channel, if you like the videos, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you get notified. I do a lot of content on a weekly basis, try to do some gear reviews, try to do some, not as much gear reviews, but things like I'm doing today, more specific to a piece of gear that's not just your regular review, more my take on it. And we do live streams on a weekly basis. I do Monday nights at 7 o'clock. Usually every Monday I do a show. It's an hour show. If you want to come in on that, it's nice Q&A, nice community vibe to it. So that's cool. I'll always show some new stuff on that show. And yeah, so if you like the stuff, subscribe, and I really appreciate your support. So until next time, have a great day. Go out and play some guitar. Talk to you soon.